Greetings, welcome back to my channel. This is StasiaBliss, where we talk about Kundalini awakenings and managing life force energy. So welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about the windows of the soul. Windows of the soul. Right now I'm getting my windows cleaned. You hear some scrubbing sounds behind me on the window. That's why I'm not outside on this beautiful day, because there's all kinds of people and window washing stuff out there, and it's reminding me of yoga school in India. And one of the karma yoga jobs that we were given, which we were all always given some random job that took up like a 3-hour block, and karma yoga is meant to be like selfless service, right? Service that you are not like looking for the benefit of your service. You're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart. And of course, the time that I was there, I wasn't fully on board with the idea, at least not the way they were presenting it to me, because usually I would choose the ways in which I would serve, or service projects would come up like as a youth that I would do. But in this case, it seemed sometimes like they were just giving us jobs to do that were meaningless. So one day we were given a job of window cleaning, and the building was a really old building, and it was sitting right at the side of a railroad track where a train would often go by, and there weren't screens really on these windows. And like in India, there was just a lot of open air space where lots of dust could get in. And this was an older building. It wasn't furnished. It just was dirty. And, because it was sitting right by the train, constantly dust was being let in there, and it was just dirty. So at the same time, some of us were to clean windows with toothbrushes and water buckets and newspapers. These are how we were to clean the windows. At the same time, another group of students was given these brushes, brooms made out of like sticks and so forth. So they're sweeping, right? And we are toothbrushing the dirty windows. I'll tell you that at that time, it seemed for a while really pointless, because the more we scrubbed and washed the windows, the more dirt that came up from the floor that was being swept, and the train would go by and more dirt. So it would almost seem like nothing was happening to clean the windows, right? But as time went on and they were pushing more dirt out, and I was like going through all these things in my mind about how this wasn't really doing any good and it wasn't really working, the yoga started to kick in. Okay, and what I learned from yoga school really about yoga is that yoga is a state of mind more than it's any practice, more than it's a pose, more than it's a breathing thing, more than anything, it's a unification of your mind with your spiritual mind, the mind of God, and with this realm. It's like a window into this realm. And from the state of drashta, the witness, you can actually sort of observe at times the actions playing out, and this higher mind allows us to superimpose what's happening in reality over the bigger picture, if you will. So I started to recognize that yoga, the actions that I was performing, or the looking at the mind, because here I am with a toothbrush and I'm like literally like having all these thoughts coming in my mind, and yoga was the part of me that's observing all the thoughts coming up. This window's not really being clean. This is a stupid exercise. The part of me that was the observer mind, the yoga was happening, and observing all those grumpy thoughts, right? All those resistant thoughts, being like, oh, this window isn't really being clean, or this is a stupid practice, or this is never going to work. And slowly I would start to see little bits of clarity, right? But it took a while to notice any real change. And I put water and newspaper in it, and it would kind of smear the dirt around, and I would get like a little glimpse. All the while, this yogic mind, this higher mind, was trying to see all the garbage I had in the way of this clarity to God, right? This clarity of mind. And so I started to recognize that this action that I was engaged in, this karma yoga, and this is the real like truth of karma yoga, is that in the act of whatever you're doing, whatever you deem this exercise to be, like in the process of doing it, because it's a mundane task, or because, you know, you can just kind of go about and let the mind go, this affords this drashta, this observer mind, this yogic mind, to begin to observe the contents of your mind, that you begin to observe your own contents of mind. So whatever it is that you're doing, there's this grumbly part of the self, right? Oh, I don't know, this is not working. Like this part of us is grumbling, this ego mind who would like to see things be accomplished and would like to see them be effective and would like to see them working, you know, like all the blocks to that. The yogic mind, the observer mind, is just noting, and it is utilizing the practice that you're engaged in, whatever it is, to purify, right? So karma yoga is meant to purify the mind, to purify the karma, to clear the karma, right? So as you're doing a service project, or as you're doing cleaning, you know, or as you're waiting for the bus, or as you're sitting in traffic, like whatever the mind is producing in these, you know, places that we're at, that's just the contents of mind. That's the samskaras, if you will. These are the things that are just like in the mind. And they are, you know, like the residues of past patterning and so forth. They are the conditionings of the mind. The yogic mind sees that and is able to just hold space for it and just observe it and watch it and let it run its course, right? To get to the truth, which is a clear moment, where we can't get to the clear moment if we don't let these thoughts sort of run by. We don't just let them happen. So anytime an instance occurs and you start to hear all the rumblings of the mind, you start to hear all the chatter and all the things where you're just like, here goes my mind again. Recognize that there's a part of you witnessing. There's a part of you observing that, and like that part of you is the purification, is the part that's getting to see through it and recognize what is being cleared out. So that you could also say this is where we're watching the chakras be cleansed. We're watching the patterns that have been stored in these psychic centers come up and out. You know, I had that same conversation has been continuing on Facebook that I mentioned yesterday about the witch, and this Christian woman is having a really great time judging me, and I'm telling her thank you for her good intentions, and I send her blessings and so forth, but she's going on like a really long time about how I need to be saved and how I need to come back to God and all this stuff. And so my initial thoughts are just like, you know, isn't it interesting that someone thinks that they know who I am? You know, like, why are these thoughts coming? Why is this being brought to my attention? And of course, there's things from my childhood, there's things from my past that, you know, like probably are myself judging myself that she's bringing up. So I'm kind of listening to her, and I'm feeling out if there's anything left in me that needs to be observed. I'm having a, you know, like, it's only ruffling me a little, because this has been decades for me to come clear with this. So I'm just kind of allowing whatever needs to come out. And I'm mostly just watching and holding space for this conversation, and finding what's most interesting about it is the rightness that people want to hold about their truths, you know. And I've been accused of this a lot of times in my life, where, and maybe it's a lot of my Gemini or my Sagittarian nature of, you know, professing to be right, you know, like, and that's offensive to other people. So I recognize that sometimes that's how I've come across, as if I'm right. And always on these videos, I'm just sharing a perspective. I'm sharing a channel. I'm sharing a transmission, like what wants to come through based on the experiences and the teachings and the wisdom and the travel and the searching that I've done. This is like my journal in a way. This is my sharing point. And so sometimes if I'm doing that and it's hitting you the wrong way and you don't believe what I'm saying is true, that's completely fine. I'm not professing to know everything. I'm literally just sharing the things that I've, that I've come across and found to be helpful to me. So it's that observer mind, though, that kicks in and watches our response to these things, right? Watches our response to if we think someone's being too right, and how do we feel about that? And so I recognized, okay, like that piece, maybe I haven't fully gone back and found all the pieces where other people thought I was being self-righteous. And to discover those in me and love those about me while this woman is being self-righteous, and I can also love her for that, because she's truly just wanting to serve and love and bring people to God, although that's an inner job, right? That's an inner job. Like, if someone wants to find God, if someone wants to connect with divine source, it ultimately comes down to that decision within and that surrender within. Okay, like the yoga practices, all of the methodology and techniques that we use externally, even be it reading your scriptures or saying your prayers or pulling cards or doing your astrology or doing a yogic exercise, those ultimately are meant to pull one internally to that place where you're witnessing all of these things going on, to that place where you can actually pull back and connect with the divine force within. And these are all chatterings in the external, right? But sometimes, like even a yoga pose, like we have to put ourselves in an awkward position to get the stretch, to get the place where we find the moment of connection. We find that opening in the mind. We find that liberation in the heart. We feel at one. So a yoga posture is a great metaphor or likeness to an uncomfortable position in life, be it scrubbing windows or in a conversation with someone or a traffic condition. And so like yoga poses are used to simulate those uncomfortable situations, so we actually experience the discomfort just in our body instead of in our minds and emotions. But they're both equal in their opportunity to bring us to that witness mind, that observer mind, that no mind, if you will, that place where the thoughts are happening, the emotions are happening, but then there's the no thought, there's the observer. And this is the God state, I believe. This is the space where we contact the infinite. That is pure love, that is pure light, that is pure bliss, that only leaves a sense of goodness about anything you're observing. Even if it's a negative thought, it's like, oh, isn't this nice? You're going through that to get to a more clear place. Like our highest potentiality, our enlightened space, sees even our troubles as a beautiful pathway to the divine. Even, and especially actually the mishaps and the difficulties, the bumping heads, those are all instruments to bring us back to center, to push us back in, whether through crying or getting out an emotion or processing something through or having to go to yoga or needing to take a supplement. All these things are meant to finally bring us back to clarity. I pulled the Ace of Swords today. Clarity. My windows are getting clean. Clarity. And often our environment does reflect, it absolutely reflects what's going on in here. So when you observe what's happening in your realm, you can see where you're at in here and see what the message of your environment is showing you. Yes, I'm getting clearer. There is clarity coming. And even if chaos is what's happening in your reality, chaos precedes order, right? There's always going to be disorder followed by order, followed by disorder, followed by order. Like this is the natural rhythm of things. So that was maybe a lot of jumping all over the place, but I hope there was something of value for you in this chat today. Again, just take what you resonate with. The rest, you know, put it in the trash heap or leave it for next time or whatever. I appreciate you being here and sharing this journey with me of consciousness, of evolution, of returning to the sacred God self here on earth together in all the many ways that we are doing it. You know, we're all doing it. We all have maybe a slightly different way of doing it. So if you're resonating here with anything that is said, then, you know, you're just closer to my tribe. So I appreciate knowing you and seeing you here again and again. Please leave me a comment, say hello, send me an email. If you want to have a session, let me know. I love doing that. I'm still doing full moon sessions. We're still in this full moon Sagittarius. It's still my new name birthday weekend, so I'm excited to celebrate that by connecting with you. So if you feel so moved, please do send me an email. And that information's in the description box. Like this video, subscribe, share it, and I'll see you again soon. Much love and namaste.